Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. The meeting is called to order. We will now consider Agenda Item 4, Review of the Implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Asia and the Pacific, and issues pertaining to the subsidiary structure of the Commission. The documents pertinent to the overall item number 4 are ESCAP/80/5, entitled Decisions Taken by the Governing Council of the United Nations Special Program for Economics of Central Asia at its 18th session. ESCAP/80/INF/1, entitled Annual Reports of the International and Intergovernmental Organizations provided to the Commission. First, to introduce this agenda item, we will begin with a presentation by the Secretariat. It is my pleasure to invite the Deputy Executive Secretary for Program, Ms. Lin Yang, to deliver her presentation. Ms. Yang, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. I have the pleasure of presenting to you the highlights of our work in support of the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Asia and the Pacific. Next slide, please. According to our latest economic and social survey, the year 2023 continued to see the economic resilience of the region, with an average economic growth picking up from 3.5% in 2022 to 4.8% in 2023, accounting for 64% of the global GDP. Coupled with the climate change and the geopolitical uncertainties, underlying issues remain, from increasing poverty to widening socio-economic inequalities and subdued job creation. Sustainable development is suffering. Next slide. At the current rate, the region will not achieve the SDGs before 2062. At the 11th Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development, countries and stakeholders reiterated the need to accelerate actions for the goals. There are clear transition pathways for this to take place, as identified by the SDG Summit. This include an urgent and inclusive energy transition, decent jobs and social protection, and enhancing digital connectivity, to name a few. For our region, bridging the digital divide and harnessing the opportunities of digital technologies are key enablers. The Asia and the Pacific Information Superhighway Initiative, through its Action Plan 2022 and 2026, is scaling up digital cooperation. We are working with countries such as Kazakhstan, the Maldives, to experiment regulatory policies for harnessing the potential of digital innovations. Through the Asia-Pacific Plan of Action on Space Applications for Sustainable Development, national capacity is being enhanced to use geospatial data for development, from flood risk hotspots mapping to monitoring air pollution. Activities conducted by regional institutions further strengthen national capacity on ICT and innovation. The Asia-Pacific region represents about a quarter of the global digitally deliverable trade. Through the framework of agreements on facilitation of cross-border paperless trade, work is underway to digitalize trade processes and promote cross-border e-commerce interoperability. Our platforms have facilitated the exchange of investment opportunities for sustainable development, such as in the ASEAN region and through the ESCAP Sustainable Business Network. Our work also helped countries such as Cambodia, Nepal, Samoa, and Vietnam to tap into the potential of a digital economy. Digitalization has ushered in remarkable progress in sustainable transport. Challenges remain to scale up smart transport systems, from limited funding to the lack of technical capability and the regulatory foundation. We are facilitating collaboration among member states of the Intergovernmental Agreement on the Trans-Asia Railway Network to deploy real digitalization through the implementation of the new general principles on electronic information exchange. Work is underway to digitalize urban transport, such as the assessment and improvement of digital technologies in public transport in 4 cities in Bangladesh, Fiji, Kazakhstan, and Tajikistan. The global stocktaking on SDG 7 on affordable and clean energy just took place on 19th April in New York. And it showed that energy is an essential ingredient for getting the world on track towards meeting the SDGs and objectives of the Paris Agreement. Here in the region, national roadmaps for SDG 7 with the data-driven scenarios for energy transition have now been available in 16 countries and 8 cities. The regional roadmap on power system connectivity provides us the platform to work with member states toward an interconnected grid, such as the ASEAN Power Grid. With other regional economic commissions, we are helping to build a partnership for minerals, materials, and technologies that are critical for energy transitions. The Asia-Pacific region remains the most disaster-prone area in the world. The Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction requested ESCAP to further develop a regional strategy to support the achievement of the Early Warning for All initiative by 2027. Our work is supporting national rollout of the initiative. For example, using foresight analytics of the ESCAP Risk and the Resilience Portal to identify risk hotspots and the multi-hazard risk profile. Under the Regional Action Program on Air Pollution, we are facilitating collaboration across countries and stakeholders on air quality standards and data. At the country level, our work has helped the agriculture sector in countries such as Indonesia, India, and Nepal to adopt new climate-smart solutions and integrated management of straw residue. At the city level, local governments and stakeholders gathered at the Asia-Pacific Urban Forum, sharing urban solutions from integrated, resilient, and inclusive urban planning to leveraging digital innovation. Asia and the Pacific is a region faced with rapid demographic shift, universal health coverage gap, youth unemployment, and gender inequality. Our work helps address demographic transitions and tackle disparities among women, persons with disabilities, and the elderly. This includes strengthening national social protection systems, such as in Cambodia, Mongolia, the Philippines, and the Maldives, and the technical support to government to promote women empowerment, such as spearheading work to value unpaid care and domestic work, and invest in the care economy. Next slide. As we can see, we are facing a challenging environment for financing for development. This is at the center of the SDG stimulus as proposed by the UN Secretary General at the 2023 SDG Summit. This has been the focus of our analytical work, such as the annual Economic and Social Survey on identifying pathways for affordable and long-term financing for development. Innovative financial instruments for climate actions are emerging. The Secretariat provided technical support to build national capacity in harnessing those instruments, such as the Sustainable Bond Accelerator Program in Cambodia and the Public Green Bond Framework in Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Tajikistan. We are giving our priorities to countries in special situations to build a resilient and agile national statistical system, including on big data, environmental accounts, and the disaster-related statistics, as well as strengthening civil registration and the vital statistics. Making full use of data and unlocking the data dividend for the SDGs require stronger commitments. In Asia and the Pacific, Bangladesh is the first country to join the Global Power of Data initiative. We encourage more countries from the region to join. The year 2023 concluded with the unwavering commitment at the SDG Summit about accelerating the implementation of the SDGs. In 2024, we will have the Summit of the Future. With both challenges and opportunities ahead, we shall be confident that Asia and the Pacific continue to act as a source of growth, development, and innovation. All of those cannot be achieved. All of those can be achieved in a more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable way. We look forward to the guidance from member states and look to the deliberation of the Commission to further guide our work to achieve our shared ambition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yang. Let us proceed to agenda item 4A, Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. The report of the forum is contained in document ESCAP/RFSD/2024/6 and the summary of the roundtable discussions in ESCAP/RFSD/2024/6/ADD1. We shall begin with a brief statement from the chair of the 11th Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. May I now ask the conference room officer to play the video of the chair of the 11th Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development, His Excellency Mr. Min Bahadur Shrestha, Vice Chairman of the National Planning Commission of Nepal.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it has been an honor to serve as chair of the 11th Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development, which was held from 20 to 23rd February 2024 under the theme Reinforcing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and Eradicating Poverty in Times of Multiple Crises, the effective delivery of sustainable, resilient, and innovative solutions in Asia and the Pacific. Governments, intergovernmental organizations, United Nations bodies, international organizations, and major groups and other stakeholders shared their perspective on the progress, implementation, and challenges confronting the achievement of the 2030 Agenda in the region. The forum highlighted that at the current pace, the region will not achieve any of the 17 goals by 2030. Additionally, it underscored that climate change exacerbates poverty and hunger, threatening to reverse sustainable development gains. Ambitious climate action coupled with robust investment is necessary. This focus should also prioritize gender equality and access for marginalized groups to mitigate the adverse effects of climate-induced disasters and support livelihoods. The forum hosted 5 parallel roundtables on sustainable development goals 1, 2, 13, 16, and 17. These reviewed achievements towards each goal and identified priority areas of engagement. 54 side events and related events were organized. The forum underscored the pivotal role of policy coherence for accelerating the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. It emphasized the importance of voluntary national reviews to align efforts across all levels of government, fostering collaboration and engagement, ultimately paving the way for forward-thinking, inclusive governance. Leveraging science, technology, and innovation can facilitate sustainable development and ensure that no one and no country is left behind. They should be supported by effective and ongoing international, regional, and sub-regional cooperation. The forum served as a powerful reminder of our shared commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals, especially as we reflect on the outcomes of the SDG Summit and look toward the Summit of the Future in September. To achieve sustainable development, urgent accelerated actions are required, supported by strong, sustained multilateral cooperation. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you. Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Honorable Prime Minister of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, is scheduled to arrive here.
We should wait a few seconds.
Yeah, then we can wait for a few seconds.
Okay, you can.
Please join me now in welcoming Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Honorable Prime Minister of the People's Republic of Bangladesh.
You can stand if everybody stand.
It is my pleasure to invite Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Honorable Prime Minister of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, to deliver special remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Madam Chair, Madam Executive Secretary, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to you all. It is my pleasure to join the 80th annual session of ESCAP. I thank Madam Executive Secretary for her invitation. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's UN membership. We continue to be guided by the vision of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, in forging a value-driving partnership with the UN. Our multidimensional engagements with ESCAP remain crucial to our pursuit of regional connectivity, integration, and prosperity. Madam Chair, Bangladesh is now considered a role model for social development, a regional stability provider, and an emerging regional connectivity hub. Our government has mainstreamed the Sustainable Development Goals into our national development strategies. We consider the 2030 Agenda to be a blueprint for supporting our smooth and sustainable graduation from UN LDC status by 2026. Bangladesh is now provides critical links to the Trans-Asian Highway and Railway network. Our physical and digital infrastructure and being developed to foster regional trade and connectivity. We offer access to the Bay of Bengal for landlocked territories in our neighborhood. We stand ready to work together with all regional partners through mutual understanding and cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Asia-Pacific region must stand united against our common enemies of poverty and hunger. In Bangladesh, we have reduced poverty from 41.51% to 18.7% between 2006 and 2022. We have reduced extreme poverty from 25.1% to 5.6% during the same period. We remain confident about eradicating extreme poverty by 2030. We have made notable progress on food security with focused intervention on maternal and child nutrition. We also reduced the maternal and child, their mortality because we support them free of cost medicine, and also sometimes those who are very poor, we provide food free of cost. Our current priority is to address inequalities through income distribution, asset ownership, and social protection. Because I always give importance to our younger generation, especially children. And newborn children also, we always assist to the mother-to-be. And that way we reduce the child and mother mortality very quickly. And it will continue. Our government has taken concrete initiatives to promote quality, inclusive, and transformative education. We have attained near universal enrollment and gender parity in schools through cash transfers, school meals, free textbook distribution. Our achievements in reducing infant, child, and maternal mortality stands out in the South Asian context. Building on our community-based health service system, we are now working on attaining universal health coverage by 2030. Madam Chair, the vibrant social mobility of our women and girls is reflected in our regional ranking and reducing gender gaps. Our wide-ranging social security measures serve the most vulnerable, including persons with disabilities, the elderly, and insolvent widows. We have recently launched a universal pension scheme to cover both formal and informal sectors. Our achievements in financial inclusion has been a game changer for the rural economy. We offer targeted policy and fiscal support to micro, small, and medium enterprises for skill development and employment creation. Under my flagship ASAN project, we have been able to accommodate more than 4 million landless and homeless people in free housing. All the house and land we are providing them, it is free of cost. Our government has kept its commitment to ensure safe drinking water, improved sanitation, electricity access, and internet coverage across the country. We have set up hundreds of digital centers to bring public services to our people's doorstep. We are now aiming to build a knowledge-based smart nation by 2041 under the banner of Smart Bangladesh. Madam Chair, much of our development gains are affected by climate impacts. As a low-lying delta, Bangladesh has no option but to invest heavily in climate resilience. Bangladesh is already recognized as a global leader in climate adaptation. We are happy to share our traditional and innovative solutions with other vulnerable countries. We urge developed and emerging economies in the region to raise their time-bound emission reduction targets. For economies in transition, it is important to have a just energy transition. In Bangladesh, we have working a long-term energy security with a sound mix of clean and renewable energy. We shall continue to do our part in pursuing a circular and low-carbon economic growth pathway. We need increased and easy access to financing and technology from both the public and private sectors. I invite ESCAP to help build the capacity of climate vulnerable countries to mobilize adequate international climate financing. Distinguished audience, the Asia-Pacific region must put up a united front in tackling the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, and transboundary pollution. We need to push for ambitious climate financing goals beyond 2025 at COP29. We need to cooperate on cross-border water management and air quality improvement. We must all prepare for growing extreme weather events. Our region can look into Bangladesh's experience in disaster risk reduction. We appreciate ESCAP's support in improving our early warning capabilities. We must prepare ourselves better to deal with future pandemics and other health emergencies. We should scale up collaboration in medical research, quality medicines, and vaccine production. A reliable regional supply chain is needed for essential commodities. Bangladesh stands ready to contribute by positioning itself as a preferred investment destination for the region. I invite Asia-Pacific countries to take advantage of the 100 special economic zones we are setting up. Madam Chair, the preconditions for sustainable development is lasting peace and security. We must settle regional disputes and tension through dialogue. Our mutual respect for national sovereignty and territorial integrity must remain paramount. We must speak out against all forms of aggression and atrocities and say no to war. Bangladesh stands behind the UN Secretary General's new agenda for peace. Distinguished friends, I have personally witnessed the tragedy of war during our independence in 1971. In 1971, my father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he declared the independence. After that, he was arrested. The occupied army also arrested my mother, my two brothers, my sister, myself. They occupied our home, destroyed it, looted, and they put us in an abandoned house. There was no furniture, no security, no food arrangement, nothing. Yes, they provided just only one blanket for whole family. I was pregnant that time. My younger brother was only 6 years old. For whole day and night up to next day, we didn't receive any food or anything. Till we liberate our country, we were under that custody. My son was born in captivity. They allowed me to go to hospital, but the day my son was born, till next afternoon, they didn't provide me any food or any assistance. So, we know how our people suffered. There was a genocide. Many people took shelter in the neighboring countries. But we won the war. Then, 1975, 15th August, I lost my family. I have suffered the trauma of the brutal assassination of my father, mother, my 3 brothers, my 2 sisters-in-law, and other relatives. My sister and I was abroad that time. I was in Germany. We could not come back to our country because military dictator took over power and declared martial law, and they prevented us to come back to my country. We have to live abroad as a refugee for 6 years. My sister was very young that time. She was only 16 or 17 years old. Well, after 6 years, I was able to return home. I started struggling to establish democracy in our country, to establish people's right, to establish people's economic emancipation. But my journey was not that easy. Several times I was arrested or I faced attempt on me. 2004, 21st August, I was holding a rally against terrorism, but that rally was under attack, grenade attack in a broad daylight. They threw 13 Arj's grenade. Every time I survived, due to my party, Bangladesh Awam League, the workers, they created human shield. They saved my life, but they sacrificed their life, many of them. On that day, 21 of our party leaders were killed, including 4 women leaders. When I returned home, I had no right to ask for justice. My sister and I have long been denied justice due to the indemnity given to the self-confessed killers by military dictator. So, our hearts reached out to unnecessary human suffering anywhere in the world. Well, after a long struggle, I was able to come back to power. Then, second time, I came back to power in 1996. Till 2001, I was there. Then again, 2008 election I won, and 2009 I was able to come back to power with the people's support. There are many conspiracies, but I enjoy people's love, affection, and understanding and support. That is my only strength. So in August 2007, when thousands of Rohingya men and women and children from Myanmar fled to Bangladesh, we offered them temporary shelter. It was also inspired by my sister. She said, look what happened in 1971, the way our people suffered. They faced genocide. So these people are suffering. So we must open our door and give them shelter. Both of us, we went to Cox's Bazar, we see them, we allowed them to come and take shelter. Excellencies, brothers and sisters, with an ever-growing population, this has now become one of the largest humanitarian situations in the world. In the backdrop of ongoing armed conflicts in Myanmar, the Rohingya repatriation process is also getting delayed. This is creating serious security risks within and beyond our territories. I take this opportunity to call upon the Asia-Pacific region, especially ASEAN, to play a proactive role in resolving the volatile situation in Myanmar. We must ensure that the Rohingyas can go back home in safety and dignity, and the earliest possible. The origin of their crisis has been in Myanmar, and its solution also lies with Myanmar as long as the solution remains out of reach, all our efforts at regional connectivity, integration, and prosperity will continue to be marked by a missing puzzle. Let us redouble our efforts to put the puzzle back in the place. And side by side, I also want to mention the war is going on. Genocide is going on in Palestine. It must be stopped. War cannot give any solution, only loss of life. Children, women are the worst sufferer. Younger generation, they lost their life. Then why war? Wherever I go, I raise my voice because I face both experience, the wartime and as a refugee. So please, I call upon the world leaders to stop the war. The Russia-Ukraine war, then now Israel, Iran, or Palestine. Why Palestine should not, people should not get their right? So we must raise our voice. After returning home, I established democracy in my country. And because democracy and continuous stability is there, and that's why I could make that much progress for our people. I wanted to do more, but because of this war and conflict, and then sanction, counter-sanction, inflation, all these reasons, I could go further. But I am trying my best to give our people more better life. So please raise your voice against any war. We don't want any war. In my country, I had insurgency activities for 2 decades. I solved it bilaterally only with those people I just discussed. 1,800 armed cadres surrendered their arms to me. That way I restored peace in my own country. So through discussion, I think any problem can be solved. But we must focus on poverty reduction and ensure these people, those who are still suffering, for their economic emancipation. This is my humble call upon the world leaders, people, and also developed country. I thank you very much, Madam Chair, for giving me this opportunity to talk. I'm sorry I have to mention some of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those very inspiring remarks. I now open the floor for comments on agenda item 4A. I would like to urge all speakers to adhere to the time limit of 3 minutes. Today we have 10 agenda sub-items to go through, and I will be strict with the timekeeping so that we ensure we hear from all delegations. I remind all delegates that longer statements can be sent to the Secretariat and will be circulated. I count on the understanding and support from all delegations to ensure we are able to finish deliberations on time and that every delegation has chance to speak. To request the floor, delegations may raise their country flag. And this Philippines, okay. The first speaker is Fiji, to be followed by Philippines. Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for giving me the floor. I thought you were doing a good job taking us through the agenda this morning, but it's a little bit faster for me as I tried to make reference to relevant documents in relations to the various decisions or the various issues that are before the Committee of the Whole to consider this morning. Madam Chair, I would like to seek clarifications in regards to certain decisions that has been made or where representations is non-inclusive. Put it that way, we are Asia Pacific region. I make reference in particular on agenda item 4 on the annual report of international and IGOs provide to ESCAP A/80/INF/1 on paragraph 4, the panel on tropical cyclones memberships. On paragraph 17, I noted that the entire memberships are all Asian-based memberships, and there is none from the Pacific. I'm talking about the P, ESCAP, the P, the relevance of that P. And tropical cyclones is happening irregularly in the Pacific right now due to climate-induced situations, as we all know. I would like to seek a clarification as to how the membership was comprised, because I saw that they've been having some very good meetings in Bahrain last year, and again, they will be meeting next year in New Delhi to try and exchange views and ideas on how cyclones can be mitigated, how those countries that are affected can be assisted through our ESCAP regional platform. So my question, Madam Chair, is that clarification on that membership. I really would like to see and propose that we have a Pacific representation in that August committee. How it was done, I'm not sure, because I know there are rules of procedures to be followed. Maybe we missed out. But again, I'm talking about inclusivity here. We are going as one region, Asia and Pacific. So if that matter can be addressed, Madam Chair, I'd really appreciate, and I would go along with that recommendation. Should that be difficult, we would like to request and insist that the Pacific be represented in that committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Fiji, for your statement. Now, Philippines to be followed by Indonesia.
Madam Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good morning. At the 11th APFSD in February, and again at the 80th Commission session, the Philippines renewed its strongest commitment to achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and to redoubling our efforts to achieve the SDGs. To support the country's aspiration to become an upper middle income economy, the Philippines advocates the need to address the specific challenges faced by middle-income countries. Among ESCAP's 53 member states, 23 are lower middle-income countries and 17 are upper middle-income countries. With near total membership in ESCAP, middle-income countries can leverage ESCAP as the most inclusive intergovernmental body in Asia and the Pacific and its strengths in capacity building, peer learning, and consensus building to position the concerns and realities of middle-income countries in the agenda and discussions of ESCAP. Through ESCAP, member states can participate in the UN's system-wide approach to provide tailor-fit support for middle-income countries, such as adoption of the Beyond GDP agenda to inform access to development finance. We also seek an elaboration of a comprehensive, system-wide response plan to address the multidimensional nature of sustainable development and approaches to enable equitable, inclusive, and just transition pathways for middle-income countries. The Philippines seeks the institutionalization of a well-defined program of action for middle-income countries in ESCAP, as the country sustains its leadership role as part of the like-minded group of countries on MICs in New York. To further amplify the voice of Asia and the Pacific on the needs of middle-income countries, the Philippines is pleased to announce its hosting of the high-level meeting of middle-income countries in Asia-Pacific next year. The Philippines looks forward to working with member states on middle-income countries' agenda in ESCAP, including as a regional platform for South-South and triangular cooperation in addressing development needs and achieving the SDGs. Thank you for attention. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Philippines, for your statement. Now, Thailand to be followed by Indonesia. Indonesia, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished colleagues and delegates, to begin, we extend our congratulations to ESCAP for successful organization of the 11th Asia-Pacific Forum of Sustainable Development in February. We appreciate the opportunity provided by the forum to share insights and strategies aimed at expediting progress toward the SDGs with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development deadline drawing near. The forum holds significant importance. Recalling the shared knowledge in the forum and reflecting on our own experience, the achievement of SDGs, especially in Asia and the Pacific, face major setbacks due to interlinked challenges from multiple crises. With less than 7 years remaining, business as usual is no longer an option. On this occasion, we would like to share our efforts in accelerating the achievement of SDGs targets. First, we walk the talk, realizing the importance of legislation and policies. Through our Presidential Decree number 59/2017, we mainstreamed the SDGs into our national and regional development plan. Considering the challenges, global dynamics, and multiple crises faced in achieving the SDGs, in 2023, the Indonesian government renewed the SDGs roadmap for 2023 to 2030 to accommodate current developments and ensure that SDGs targets can be achieved by 2030. We advance the localization of SDGs by engaging and collaborating with the local authorities and communities and encourage local governments to prepare voluntary subnational reviews or VSR. Second, we have been exploring various innovative financing instruments and scaling up the existing ones. We are proud to share that we have issued the world's first publicly offered sovereign blue bond, as well as Asia's first SDGs bond, and implemented an integrated national financing framework, or INFF. Furthermore, building upon our initiative during Indonesia's G20 presidency in 2022, we are fostering the implementation of blended finance and initiating the discussion for the establishment of the Global Blended Finance Alliance, or GBFA. Finally, I would like to close this statement by saying, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. We emphasize the need for shared commitment and collaboration in order to accelerate the SDGs achievement, and Indonesia stands ready to collaborate in this regard. I thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia, for your statement. Thailand to be followed by China. Thailand, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, distinguished delegates. Thailand recognizes the important role of the APFSD as a convening platform for stakeholders to share their views on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals, the identification of regional trends, as well as the sharing of best practices and lessons learned at the APFSD will not only strengthen implementation efforts at the regional and national levels, but will also contribute towards global efforts to bring the SDGs back on track. So with a view to reinforcing the 2030 Agenda in times of multiple crises, Thailand wishes to emphasize 3 issues mentioned at this year's APFSD. First, to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda, we need to ensure that development efforts are balanced in all dimensions, where both people-centered and planet-centric efforts are pursued in tandem. For Thailand, our development efforts are guided by the Sufficiency Economy Philosophy, or the SEP, which promotes balance in all aspects, be they economic, environmental, or social. The SEP also places humans at its core. By ensuring human empowerment, the SEP helps create resilience for individuals and communities. Thailand has been and will continue to share our development approach with countries and interested stakeholders. And the importance that Thailand places on human development has also led us to present our candidature to the UN Human Rights Council for the term 2025 to 2027. Second, we must find innovative solutions and make use of all tools available to accelerate SDG implementation. This includes leveraging science, technology, and innovation, as well as making greater use of digital technology to benefit all. Third, it is critical to strengthen partnerships among all sectors and at all levels, including civil society, private sector, academia, and youth. For us to realize the SDGs for everyone by 2030, we must ensure a whole of government and whole of society approach. Without stronger partnerships, the SDGs will not be realized for many of us. And in concluding, Thailand hopes that the regional perspectives shared at this year's APFSD will be meaningfully reflected and built upon at both the HLPF in July and the Summit of the Future in September. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Thailand, for your statement. Now, China to be followed by United States of America. China, you have the floor, please.
谢谢主席女士。当前2030年可持续发展议程落实严重滞后。今年2月举行的第11届亚太可持续发展论坛，为亚太地区政府、国际组织、民间团体等多利攸关方提供了对话平台，就地区加速推进落实2030年可持续发展议程进行了政策沟通和经验分享。中国始终坚持以人民为中心，推进中国式现代化，加快高质量发展，履行可持续发展承诺。中国历史性解决绝对贫困，建成世界上规模最大的教育、社会保障、医疗卫生体系，创新能力不断提升，全球创新指数排名从2013年的第35位上升至2023年的第12位。中国经济基本面基本向好。过去10年，中国对世界经济增长的年平均贡献率超过30%，对全球发展做出了突出贡献。作为最大的发展中国家和全球南方的一员，中国致力于通过自身发展促进世界和平稳定与繁荣进步。中国坚定支持南南合作，始终是南南合作的先行者、推动者和贡献者。中方提出全球发展倡议，促进伙伴关系，合作成果丰富，有力地支持了2030年可持续发展议程。去年，中国成功举行第3届“一带一路”国际合作高峰论坛， 为推动全球经济增长，加速落实2030年可持续发展议程，注入新的强劲动力。当前，世界进入新的动荡变革期，我们应坚持发展优先，让发展成果公平惠及各国人民。我们应挖掘数字创新潜力，推进数字经济发展，提升数字发展的公平性、包容性和普惠性，弥合数字鸿沟。我们应践行真正的多边主义，推进平等有序的世界多极化和普惠包容的经济全球化，促进各国共同发展，维护国际社会共同安全，打造全人类共同未来。中方愿同各国一道，共同建设持久和平、普遍安全、共同繁荣、开放包容、清洁美丽的世界，携手构建人类命运共同体。谢谢。
Thank you, China, for your statement. Now, United States of America, followed by Japan. United States of America, the floor is for you.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, my congratulations to ESCAP on a very successful week. We're seeing just fantastic speakers, so many side events, a positive and cordial atmosphere here, so a sincere congratulations to you all. The United States is determined to meet its commitments to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, both domestically and abroad. In the Indo-Pacific and around the globe, we continue to work toward a free, open, connected, prosperous, resilient, and secure international community. The United States focuses on solving development challenges and working with our partners to achieve their development objectives. To advance SDG 1, the United States Economic Development Programs support marginalized groups, modernize supply chains, and help non-traditional exporters break into international markets. To address SDG 2, the United States is leading the charge to accelerate progress toward global food security through our Feed the Future initiative. We are scaling up climate-smart agricultural innovations, such as pest-resilient seeds and new varieties of staple crops, enabling farmers to sustainably grow food in the face of climate change. In line with SDG 13, President Biden is seeking to work with Congress to provide $11 billion in climate finance for developing countries in 2024. The President's Emergency Plan for Adaptation and Resilience aims to support more than 500 million people by 2030 and adapting to the worst consequences of climate change. These ambitious goals are only attainable when governing institutions are strong, transparent, and accountable. This year, in support of SDG 16, we are assisting the Republic of Korea in hosting the 3rd Summit for Democracy. We are also looking forward to this year's Leaders Summit as an opportunity in partnership with you all to review and renew our SDG commitments and ensure the SDGs remain on track. Thank you.
Thank you, United States of America, for your statement. Japan, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. We would like to thank ESCAP for its orchestration of multi-stakeholder engagement via the APFSD again this year. Accelerating the implementation of SDGs is positioned as a key pillar and driver for international cooperation in Japan's newly revised Development Cooperation Charter adopted in the middle of last year. Taking on the momentum from the 2023 SDGs Summit, Japan revised the SDGs implementation guidelines for the first time in 4 years under the auspices of the SDGs Promotion Headquarters led by a Prime Minister. These new SDG implementation guidelines emphasize collaborating with the international community to strengthen action in key areas such as building sustainable economic and social systems, achieving an inclusive society where no one is left behind, addressing global challenges more effectively, and promoting the confluence of peace and sustainable development. Indeed, we have worked with various partners, including various UN organizations, to advance the SDGs in harmony with these guidelines. For example, just last month, Japan's Ministry of the Environment worked together with International Renewable Energy Agency and the GCF to host a forum for decarbonization in small island developing states to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy and address climate change in the region, involving other stakeholders including representatives from SIDS, other international organizations, municipalities and businesses who introduced various best practices linked to decarbonization on remote islands, leveraging innovative technologies, engaging in lively exchange of opinions. Other examples include the Mutual Learning Program to enhance the ability to prepare biannual transparency reports that catalyze mutual learning with plans for support to its countries in Central Asia and the Caucasus region in fiscal 2024. We're also extending the support for developing long-term strategies using the Asia-Pacific integrated model to catalyze long-term climate change strategies formation in Laos, Indonesia, Thailand, Bangladesh, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. By 2025, Japan is in the process of preparing and finalizing our own voluntary national review. We hope to use this process as a catalyst to accelerate the SDGs and play a leading role in helping to advance international discussions with an eye towards the post-2030 agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Japan, for your statement. Would any other delegation like to take the floor under this agenda item, please? Fiji, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor again. My first intervention was more of a clarifications on the summary document, but now I would also like to contribute to this item on the SDGs. Fiji and the Pacific seats have been committed to the implementation of SDGs, guided by the work of our regional organizations through the 2050 Blue Pacific Strategy and other documents that enables us to move forward. We've been attending APFSD every year now in large droves because we saw that the importance of moving towards this regional platform to strengthen our ambitions to achieve SDGs. A particular point that I would like to raise is that in all our years of participations here at APFSD, we've noted that reports going up to the high-level political forum coming back to us. I think it's important that we have feedbacks from the forum to enable the memberships of ESCAP, particularly the Pacific Group, to receive guidance from what our high-level political leaders have decided on the way forward. On that note, we also would like to share that a number of our countries have submitted their VNRs, including Fiji, and some of the lessons that we've learned from these presentations, we've noted that progressing work on SDGs is not possible without enhanced and strengthened partnership. As been alluded to earlier by my assistant minister earlier this week, partnership is crucial and provides the pivotal platform within which we can be able to cross or bridge the divides amongst our own respective countries, particularly in the Pacific. It has become necessary now more than ever to revitalize global partnership with a focus on securing greater financial assistance, capacity building, technology, trade, and system enhancement across all the 17 SDGs. The focus is now on the next 6 years and the sprint from now until 2030. And we are really thankful to the partnerships within ESCAP, within all our partners, both multilateral and bilateral, who continues to support our aspirations in the Pacific as we aspire to achieve SDGs. Even though the challenge right now that it's below 12% to be achieved, but we are committed through the guidance of our forum leaders that we would be able to be in a good stead. But we do not want to go back, as was said earlier by my minister earlier this week. We do not want to reflect the failure of the MDGs. We would like to be part of a growing nations within the region that continue to support us moving forward to attain our SDGs. And I thank all partners within the room, here in the room, and all partners within the region that continues to support us in our endeavor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Fiji, for your statement. Bangladesh, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to you all. I am privileged to be here at the 88th annual session of the Economic and Social Commission for the Asia and the Pacific. You may be aware that Bangladesh has undergone a profound transformation emerging from the scars of the war to become a dynamic economic force in South Asia. With the burgeoning youth population, we stand on the verge of shedding our LDC status by 2026, with our sights set on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Under the dynamic leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Bangladesh has made significant strides across various sectors. Notably, we have witnessed progress in social, economic, and environmental domains, underscored by a steadfast commitment to sustainable development. Excellencies, our government strategy blueprint encapsulated in the 8th five-year plan underscores the importance of broader stakeholder engagement for the effective realization of SDGs. Through concerted localization efforts, we have identified national priority indicators and established committees at various administrative levels to expedite implementation and monitoring. Despite formidable challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change, Bangladesh has maintained the impressive average GDP growth rate of 6.7% over the past 15 years. This growth can be attributed to timely intervention and strategic policies, complemented by increased investment in social protection. Remarkably, both moderate poverty and extreme poverty have declined significantly within the same period. In response to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's directives, the Ashram Shelter Project has successfully rehabilitated approximately 0.56 million landless and homeless families across the country. Bangladesh has launched the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan 2022 to 2041, with a primary emphasis on eradicating poverty and hunger, fostering locally driven adaptations, and promoting nature-oriented solutions. Respected Chair, in the face of the global crisis, urgent equitable actions rooted in solidarity and collaboration. That's an imperative. Challenges such as resource constraints, capacity deficiencies, and inadequate climate change mitigation measures hinder SDG progress. We advocate for enhanced regional collaboration through paperless trade, improved connectivity, and public-private partnerships. The Asia-Pacific Forum serves as an invaluable platform for dialogue and collaboration, enabling countries to exchange experiences, best practices, and lessons learned in leveraging digital technologies for sustainable development. Through robust partnership and knowledge exchange, we can overcome common challenges and expedite progress towards the SDGs. We remain confident that the inclusive, solidarity-driven framework of the SDGs will pave the way for rebuilding our world to fulfill our collective aspirations. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Bangladesh, for your statement. Vanuatu, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Vanuatu, like many other countries in the region, is working to align the National Sustainable Development Goal, the NSDP, with the SDGs as set forth in the United Nations. I think Vanuatu has been accelerating the implementation of its National Development Plan as aligned to SDGs. In terms of policy integration, Vanuatu has been integrating the SDGs into its national policies, plans, and strategies. This involves ensuring that the goals and targets of the National Development Plan, the NSDP, are in line with the broader objectives of the SDGs. Vanuatu has also engaged in stakeholder engagement. The government engaged with various stakeholders, including the civil society, private sector, and local communities, to ensure participation in the implementation of the National Sustainable Development Plan alignment and collaboration with stakeholders to leverage resources, expertise, and knowledge in achieving SDG targets. The government has also invested in data collection and monitoring, with the Vanuatu maybe enhancing its data collections and monitoring mechanisms to track progress towards SDGs. This involves robust monitoring frameworks and systems to ensure indicators related to NSTP and the SDGs. The capacity building on the SDGs, Vanuatu is also Vanuatu invests in capacity building initiatives to strengthen skills and capacities of government officials, civil society organizations, and the stakeholders involved in the implementation of NSTP. Vanuatu also welcome development partners in terms of resource mobilization to help assist in financing of some of the SDGs, and we would like to thank development partners for that. This involves the support from partners, specifically accessing to climate financing and private sector investment, exploring innovative financing mechanisms. I thank you.
Thank you, Vanuatu, for your statement. We shall now take up agenda item 4B pertaining to social development. May I first invite the Director of the Social Development Division, Mr. Srinivas Tata, to briefly introduce the documents pertaining to this agenda item. Mr. Tata, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my honor to introduce the documents pertinent to item 4B on social development. Document ESCAP/APPC7/4 contains the report of the 7th Asian and Pacific Population Conference, the outcomes of which will be introduced by the chair of the 7th APPC. Document ESCAP/80/6 contains a report on the ad hoc session of the working group on the Asian and Pacific Decade of Persons with Disabilities, which was held on the 8th and 9th of November 2023, and provides an overview of discussions in the working group on the progress, initiatives, and future plans concerning the 6 priority areas for disability-inclusive development outlined in the Jakarta Declaration on the Asian and Pacific Decade of Persons with Disabilities 2023 to 2032. The Commission may like to note the key findings contained in the document. Document ESCAP/80/6/Add1 on the composition of the working group of the Asian and Pacific Decade of Persons with Disabilities 2023 to 2032 provides the background and the nomination process for the formation of the working group on the Asian and Pacific Decade of Persons with Disabilities 2023 to 2032 and the proposed composition of the working group for the remaining period of the decade, which is 2024 to 2032. As you may be aware, in the Jakarta Declaration, members and associate members of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific had requested the Executive Secretary to continue to utilize the guidance of the working group on the decade as appropriate to support effective implementation of the Jakarta Declaration. The Commission may wish to endorse the proposed composition of the working group. Document ESCAP/80/7 on the key social development issues for consideration in 2024 provides a summary on the key social development issues and priorities that were discussed at the 7th Asian and Pacific Population Conference, which was held in Bangkok from the 15th to 17th November 2023, but are also expected to be addressed at 3 intergovernmental meetings on social development to be convened by the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific in 2024 and 2025, including the Committee on Social Development in October 2024, the Regional Review and the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on the implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action on Gender Equality and Empowerment of Women in November 2024, and the Asia-Pacific Regional Review of implementation of the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration in early 2025. The Commission may like to take note of the findings contained in the document and provide further guidance to the Secretariat. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tata. May I now invite the conference room officer to play the video message from the chair of the 7th Asia and Pacific Population Conference, His Excellency Mr. Warawut Silpa Acha, Minister of Social Development and Human Security of the Royal Thai Government.
Thank you, Chair, distinguished delegates, and Sawasdee Krab. It is my honor to report on the outcomes of the 7th Asian and Pacific Population Conference held here in Bangkok from 15th to 17th of November 2023. The conference brought together Commission members, associate members, and stakeholders to echo the profound linkages between population and 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The conference reaffirmed its commitment to the program of action of the International Conference on Population and Development. Participants recognized improvements in poverty reduction, education, access to healthcare, particularly on maternal, sexual, and reproductive healthcare. However, there were emerging and persistent challenges such as gender-based violence, low fertility, population aging, climate change, and migration. Delegations called for strengthened collection of disaggregated data, good governance, dialogue, and engagement with civil society organizations. They highlighted the importance of social protection, healthy and active aging policies, gender equality, and empowerment of women. They called on fostering intergenerational relations and a life course perspective to population and development. Demographic foresight and rights-based approaches should guide planning and policy making. The conference decided to transmit its report to the Commission on Population and Development, or CPD, at its 57th session, and I am pleased to present this report to the CPD next week. Moreover, the conference recommended for future actions for ESCAP and UNFPA to continue to support member states on population and development and to conduct a regional midterm intergovernmental review meeting in 2028. The Commission is invited to consider and endorse the matters contained in the report of the conference. Thank you, Chair, and Khop Kun Krab.
Thank you. I now open the floor for comments. I ask all speakers to adhere to the time limit of 3 minutes. The first speaker is Indonesia, to be followed by China. Indonesia, you have the floor, please.
Honorable Chair, distinguished colleagues, we are pleased to share with you, all of you, that Indonesia has established the National-Wide Socioeconomic Registry, or REXOSEC. It is designed to cover the whole population of Indonesia and used as data reference for planning, budgeting, and program design implementation. According to REXOSEC, as of now, there are more than 4 million persons with disabilities and 22 million older persons. Speaking of poverty, 13.81% of the 4 million people with disabilities remain in poverty, and 10.04% of the 22 million older people fall below the poverty line. The poverty rates of both vulnerable groups are higher than the national poverty average at 9.36% as of 2023. More than 2.3 million people with disabilities are identified as the poorest 10% of the population, who are vulnerable to any social and economic shocks. The 2023 National Economic Status Survey, or SUSANAS, also captures that the percentage of elderly dependency ratio increases as the population of older persons also increases. In the next long-term and medium-term National Development Plan, we see social inclusion, particularly for persons with disabilities and older people. as the crucial and strategic action to be implemented by all agencies, both at the national and local level. However, we have to acknowledge some challenges that we are still facing. First, there is a lack of disaggregated data for persons with disabilities and older people. It hinders the government from recognizing the root problems, causing less responsive policy actions to be taken. Second, there is a need for better coordination across stakeholders. It is often we see that each stakeholder focus on their responsibilities without coordinating and synchronizing their programs and action with other related stakeholders. And third, there is limited participation in policy decision-making processes by these vulnerable groups to voice their barriers and challenges to have better access to any services provided by the government or even to participate actively in productive and community-based activities. In response to these challenges, it is important that key stakeholders have a better understanding of persons with disabilities and older people, their barriers, and the need to promote and implement disability-inclusive policies, as endorsed by the Jakarta Declaration. Coordination and cooperation among government agencies and engagement with non-state actors need to be strengthened to design comprehensive and adequate policies and programs. Enhancing data availability and quality, expanding the coverage of social protection and empowerment programs, and ensuring the availability and accessibility of basic needs and public facilities for persons with disabilities and older people are among things necessary to ensure quality and accuracy of the government service delivery for persons with disabilities and older people. I would like to conclude my statement by saying that our task to ensure the welfare and prosperity of our people is very challenging. But I have great confidence that our collective action will make it easier and more achievable. Let's all join our hands as we continue to give our best endeavors, support, and serve our people in the region. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Indonesia, for your statement. Now, China to be followed by Thailand. China, you have the floor, please.
谢谢主席。过去一年 ，ESCAP 成功举办第7次亚太人口大会、亚太残疾人10年工作组特别会议，举行第67届妇女地位委员会区域研讨会，通过一系列务实合作，有效推动了亚太地区社会可持续发展。中国政府坚持以人民为中心，高度重视社会发展，不断加强弱势群体权益保障。去年，中国居民人均可支配收入增长6.1%，城乡居民收入差距继续缩小，脱贫攻坚成果巩固拓展，脱贫地区农村居民收入增长8.4%，加大义务教育、基本养老、基本医疗等财政补助力度，扩大救助保障对象范围，提高一老一小个人所得税专项附加扣除标准，6600多万纳税人受益。同时，中国积极参与区域社会发展领域合作，并通过中国 ESCAP 合作基金支持秘书处开展积极应对残疾人就业、减轻妇女无偿照料负担相关项目，积极支持2023到2032亚太残疾人10年工作组开展合作。女士们、先生们，当前我们正站在一个十字路口，面对人口老龄化、低生育率、社会经济不平等、气候变化、数字化转型等挑战，各方应加强团结，推进公平，增强社会发展包容性，应用好 ESCAP 等区域合作平台，携手应对社会发展领域的共同挑战。中国将坚定推动合作共赢，与各方推进国际合作，与全球南方共谋振兴，也愿积极为解决全球性问题做出中国贡献。谢谢。
Thank you, China, for your statement. Now, Thailand to be followed by India.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm Thailand's commitment to fostering an inclusive society for everyone, harnessing the full potential of technology and digital advancement amidst challenges. Between now and 2050, Asia and the Pacific are set to see their population aged 60 years and above more than double, reaching 1.3 billion. Thailand is responding to this demographic change with 5 key measures: enhancing skills and job opportunities for socio-economic stability, prioritizing quality in childcare and youth development, empowering older persons by utilizing their skills and promoting digital literacy, creating inclusive environments for persons with disabilities to contribute to society and nurturing family value. To uphold the vulnerability identification, Thailand has initiated an electronic logbook system. In 2024, more than 900,000 households are identified and assisted. The data is integrated into the Thai People Map and Analytics Platform, or TP Map, with plans for further integration with other databases and partners. To boost the accessibility of social protection and assistance, Thailand has digitized its social protection system, implementing mobile applications tailored to the specific needs of target groups. Examples include Go by DOP for older persons, child protection, and ID card for persons with disabilities. Simultaneously, the country is striving to ensure widespread internet access, particularly in rural areas, through ongoing projects like the Village Broadband Internet Initiative. Since 2002, our country's universal health coverage has provided essential health care to our citizens. Moving forward, the country is committed to enhancing quality and empowering patients to select their health care providers, thereby guaranteeing universal access to high-quality care. This program guarantees that healthcare services remain within reach for all Thais and non-Thais. Moreover, the government prioritizes the integration of digital health into the system, ensuring equitable access to healthcare for everyone and recognizing health as a human right. In closing, I would like to reiterate Thailand's commitment to nurturing an inclusive and accessible society for all, leveraging the transformative power of technology and digital innovations in the face of evolving challenges, including the significant demographic shifts ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Thailand. Now, India to be followed by Bangladesh. India, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Secretariat for the reports and the briefings that have guided our deliberation on this important agenda item. Global community is grappling with multiple challenges that are limiting our progress towards sustainable development goals by 2030. The need of the hour is to redouble our efforts to sustain socioeconomic progress, keeping the needs of the people and their well-being at the center of our efforts. India's social development strategies encompass a range of initiatives. It includes targeted poverty alleviation program and ensuring livelihood, improved access to affordable and quality healthcare, education and skill development. Digital technologies are being used for expedited government service delivery through deployment of citizen-centric technologies. India has followed a model of SDG implementation based on localization. It has helped us to successfully integrate 2030 agenda from national to local governance level all the way up to individual households. The evidence of the success of our localization efforts lies in some of our achievements and outcomes over last decade or so. 248 million people have escaped multidimensional poverty in India during the last decade. A targeted public distribution system has ensured food security initiatives that supply food to over 800 million beneficiaries. Poverty is a multidimensional issue. A range of tailored schemes address various dimensions of poverty. The Clean Water Mission has facilitated tap water connections to 142 million households. The National Housing Scheme has overseen construction of 40 million affordable houses in urban and rural areas. Through the Smoke Free India Mission, more than 101 million connections to clean cooking fuel have been distributed. The National Mission on Financial Inclusion has led to the opening of 510 million bank accounts, promoting access to financial services. There are also targeted programs to empower persons with disabilities and to facilitate their participation in all aspects of society and economy. India's biometric-based unique identification system, Aadhaar, now covers more than 95% of country's population, facilitating access to a range of social protection services. India has also launched the world's largest digitally operated cashless and paperless healthcare initiative known as the National Health Protection Scheme, or Ayushman Bharat. We recognize the transformational role that artificial intelligence can play in achieving sustainable development goals, and we remain committed to responsible and ethical use of these technologies. As India endeavors to build a more prosperous and inclusive society, we remain committed to engage with all member states and ESCAP for achievement of the SDGs by 2030. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, India, for your statement. Now, Bangladesh, followed by Japan. Bangladesh, you have the floor, please.
Thank you. Respected Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning to you all. It's my pleasure to address the 80th annual session of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. In this discourse, I wish to shed light on the remarkable strides Bangladesh has made in social development through the adept utilization of digital innovation. Bangladesh, a land of resilience and vibrancy, has long been committed to fostering inclusive growth and uplifting its populace from the shackles of poverty. In our pursuit of sustainable development, we have recognized the transformative potential of digital innovation as a catalyst for progress. The strategic integration of technology into various facets of our society has yielded unprecedented results, particularly in the realm of social development. Distinguished delegates, one of the most striking manifestations of Bangladesh's digital revolution is evident in our healthcare sector. Leveraging digital innovation, we have implemented groundbreaking initiatives to extend affordable and quality healthcare services to the masses. Telemedicine platforms have bridged the gap between patients and healthcare professionals, especially in remote areas where access to medical facilities is limited. Through mobile applications and teleconsultation services, individuals can now receive timely medical advice and treatment, thereby significantly improving health outcomes across the nation. Furthermore, Bangladesh has harnessed digital technologies to revolutionize its education landscape. Recognizing the pivotal role of education in fostering human capital development, we have embarked on ambitious initiatives to ensure equitable access to quality education for all. The introduction of e-learning platforms, digital classrooms, and online educational resources has democratized learning opportunities, empowering students from diverse backgrounds to acquire knowledge and skills necessary for the 21st century workforce. By embracing digital innovation in education, Bangladesh is nurturing a generation of dynamic and globally competitive individuals poised to drive sustainable development forward. Our government has undertaken concerted efforts to leverage digital innovation for human resource development. Poverty eradication, social inclusion, child protection, development and empowerment of the bypassed and disadvantaged segments of the people of Bangladesh. In the fiscal year for the poor women 2023-24, 100% of widow and husband destitute women allowance and at least 50% of compulsory old age allowance, disability allowance, disability education stipend distribution, and dignity of women increasing and empowering.
Distinguished delegate of Bangladesh, you have exceeded the time limit. Please wrap up your statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Finished. Thank you, Bangladesh, for your statement. Now, Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Japan would like to thank ESCAP for successful convening of major events in this area, including the population conference last year. Japan's Foreign Minister, Ms. Kamikawa, has accorded key diplomatic priority to the Women, Peace, and Security agenda. Last year, Japan formulated the third WPS action plan. Japan's action plan is characterized by its inclusion of disaster prevention and response measures, as well as efforts to address climate change, in addition to implementing women's participation and empowerment in such efforts, both domestically and internationally. Japan welcomes the upcoming regional review of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action on Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment in 2024, and is set to cooperate with various stakeholders in conducting the national and regional reviews, as well as the Beijing Plus 30 review at the 69th United Nations Commission on the Status of Women's CSW, which will be held in New York next March. We would like to reiterate our support of ESCAP's role as a convening platform to facilitate important engagements in the field of social development, including addressing issues faced by people with disabilities to enhance their positive roles and contributions to society and the 2030 Agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Japan, for your statement. Now, Fiji, followed by Timor-Leste. Fiji, you have the floor, please. Fiji.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Apologies. Yeah, Fiji would like to thank the Secretariat for the excellent role they're doing in this space, and in particular the Director, really for the hard work that he has delivered, would has provided important opportunities for empowering our women, gender, and particularly people with disabilities. Fiji and the Pacific recognizes that if we empower our people with disabilities, our women, they will contribute meaningfully to SDGs and other international development goals. We really appreciate the hard work, Mr. Vincent, your team, for enabling us to participate fully and effectively in Jakarta in terms of coming up with the Jakarta Declaration. Secondly, Madam Chair, Fiji would like to thank and recognize the composition of the working group, given that my neighbor, the Kingdom of Tonga, is there representing the Pacific, so we would like to support that recommendation going forward. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Fiji. Now, Timor-Leste, followed by United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Timor-Leste, you have the floor, please.
Check. Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Regarding the Agenda Item 4, Part B on social development, I would like to reaffirm our nation's unwavering commitment to social development in the Pacific, ASEAN-Pacific region. In Timor-Leste, we recognize that sustainable development cannot be achieved without prioritizing the well-being and empowerment of our people. Therefore, we have placed social development in the forefront of our nation's agenda. We have made significant strides in areas such as poverty alleviation, healthcare, education, gender equality, and social protection. However, we also acknowledge the challenges that lie ahead, particularly in ensuring that the benefits of development reach all segments of our society. We are working tirelessly to address these challenges by implementing targeted policies and programs aimed at improving the lives of our citizens. These include initiatives to expand access to quality healthcare services, enhance educational opportunities, promote gender equality, and strengthen social safety nets. Furthermore, we recognize the importance of regional cooperation in advancing social development goals. By sharing experiences, best practices, and resources, we can collectively accelerate progress towards a more inclusive and equitable future for all. In conclusion, Timor-Leste remains steadfast in its commitment to social development and stand ready to collaborate with our partnership in ESCAP and beyond to build a brighter and more prosperous future for the people of the Asia and Pacific region. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Timor-Leste. Now, United Kingdom of the Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'd just like to take this opportunity to thank ESCAP for convening us this week and for also to the Social Development Division for all of the major global moments this year. We really look forward to working with ESCAP and with member states and other stakeholders in the coming year, including in the run-up to Beijing Plus 30. And we commend the recommendations in the document around the Asian and Pacific Decade of Persons with Disabilities and look forward in working through the working group there as well. We have recognized today the great strides this region has progressed in the areas of population and development. It was in Cairo that we first recognized that population is all about people instead of numbers. And indeed, we heard today a reminder of next Monday, which is the 30th anniversary of the International Conference on Population and Development. The ICPD's program of action steered countries towards inclusive and equitable policies that advanced health and gender equality. And we have a lot to celebrate. Across this region, we've seen a significant reduction in maternal mortality, more newborns surviving the first fragile months of life, fewer girls marrying before the age of 18, and the global proportion of women's family planning needs being met through modern methods having increased significantly. We can be proud of the steps that we have been taken collectively. Indeed, for the United Kingdom, addressing inequality, and making sure that no one is left behind is at the heart of our international development approach. Despite progress, sharp disparities remain, and it seems to be inconsistent across parts of the world. The 30th anniversary next Monday is an important moment to not only recognize our achievements, but to take stock of the substantial work there is left to do. The plan of action continues to offer us tools and principles to confront some of these contemporary and emerging challenges that we face, such as climate change, demographic patterns, scarcity, and increased urbanization. We reaffirm our commitment to ICPD and its principles, and we call on everybody to unite around a renewed dedication to accelerating the program of action and ensuring no one is left behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I have now requests to speak from international organizations and CSOs. Before that, would any other member state wish to take the floor, please? Yeah. Now I invite representative from UN Women, followed by United Nations Population Fund representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellencies, on behalf of UN Women, I would like to take this opportunity to highlight the regional review of implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, which we are collaborating with ESCAP to carry out in the lead-up to the 30th anniversary of its adoption. We would like to encourage submissions of high-quality national reports and surveys in consultation with all stakeholders, particularly civil society, as part of the review process. Country national reports will contribute to the regional synthesis report, which will take stock of the situation of women and girls throughout the Asia-Pacific region. Further, we would like to encourage high-level participation at the upcoming Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on the Beijing +30 review in November in Bangkok, which will also consist of 4 thematic roundtables focusing on advancing women's economic empowerment, women's leadership and representation, ending discrimination and violence against women, and closing the gender gaps to accelerate implementation of the SDGs. We hope these roundtable themes will generate interest and broad-based participation among delegations to contribute to the discussions. Following the ministerial conference, the 69th session of the Commission on the Status of Women and the Beijing +30 Summit, taking place in New York next year, will focus on the review of the implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. Progress towards a world where gender equalities no longer exist is within our reach, but will require our unwavering and continued commitment with much greater urgency. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and thank you to ESCAP for the great collaboration to advance gender equality in Asia and the Pacific during this pivotal year. Thank you.
Thank you, representative from UN Women. Now, United Nations Population Fund representative, followed by representative from the CSO Steering Committee for the 7th Asia Pacific Population Conference. United Nations Population Fund.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, members of the civil society, and colleagues from the UN. Good morning. My name is Madhu Dissanayake, serving as a Regional Program and Intergovernmental Specialist. Today, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Pio Smith, the Asia-Pacific Regional Director for UNFPA. It is my pleasure to highlight the long-standing and robust partnership we share with UNESCAP, particularly in our collaborative efforts revolving around population-focused initiatives and data management. A notable example of our cooperation includes supporting the ESCAP Secretariat and the Social Development Division in organizing the Asian and Pacific Population Conference every decade, along with its midterm review every 5 years. We at UNFPA extend our congratulations to the ESCAP Commission for adopting the report of the 7th Asian and Pacific Population Conference. This achievement reflects our collective efforts in contributing to significant advancements such as reducing poverty, maternal and infant mortality rates, unplanned pregnancies, and enhancing access to education and employment for girls, young people, and women. Additionally, it acknowledges our efforts in bolstering resilience to climate change and towards sustainability. Despite these achievements, we are reminded of the numerous challenges that persist within the region. These include issues like low fertility and aging population, food insecurity, severe climate vulnerabilities, and increasing social inequalities, exacerbated by challenging economic and humanitarian conditions. The report highlights the necessity for greater data and evidence, investment, and commitment to innovative solutions in our continuous effort to reach the most vulnerable populations, strengthen intersections, and to ensure no one is left behind. Reflecting the 30-year review of one of the most progressive plans introduced globally, the ICPD Program of Action, we are reminded of its enduring relevance and critical importance since its inception in 1994. It remains a cornerstone in safeguarding human rights and promoting gender equality. UNFPA remains steadfast with our country officers across the region to support our member states to achieve the 2030 agenda by ensuring every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. Thank you so much.
Thank you, representative from United Nations Population Fund. Now, the representative from the CSO Steering Committee for the 7th Asia Pacific Population Conference.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, fellow advocates, my name is Sita Sahi.
I represent the CSO Steering Committee of the 7th Asia and the Pacific Population Conference. We wish to commend the ESCAP Commission on its adoption of the report of the 7th Asian and Pacific Population Conference, 7APPC, on which underscores the multiple challenges currently facing the region: low fertility, population aging, increased gender-based violence, and climate change, which particularly affects marginalized communities such as migrant, young people, women, aging, gender-diverse person, people living with HIV, and all their intersectionalities. Since the 1994 ICPD Program of Action, which was truly remarkable in its shift to directly link human rights with sustainable development, governments, development partners, CSOs, and young people have been working towards one common vision: to leave no one behind. 30 years later, we stand renewed to work in a partnership in support of this transformative agenda and reiterate the pivotal role that young people and diverse civil society from across the region play in achieving in fulfillment of SRHR for all. We urge for the creation and protection of space that is truly meaningful for civil society to participate in to enable this. Over 120 diverse civil society representatives attended 7APPC conference, and the resulting CSO call to action highlights our unity in advancing sexual and reproductive health and rights and addressing the multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination that act as a barriers to just and sustainable development in the region. Until and unless we control and make decisions over our own bodies and express our sexuality free from coercion, discrimination, and violence, we cannot fully participate in our life. We close by looking towards the future, where ICPD will continue to play an integral role in achieving the ambitious new aims of the Summit of the Future. Thank you.
Thank you, representative from the CSO Steering Committee for the 7th Asia-Pacific Population Conference. Would any other delegation like to take the floor under this agenda item? I see none. We shall now take up agenda item 4C on environment and development. May I invite the Director of the Environment and Development Division, Mr. Sangmin Nam, to briefly introduce the documents pertaining to this agenda item. Mr. Nam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my honor to introduce the documents pertinent to item 4C on environmental development. Document ESCAP/80/8 report of the Governing Council of the Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization on its 19th session will be introduced by the chair of that session. Document ESCAP/80/9 on crisis resilient cities for sustainable Asia-Pacific region provides an overview of the current state of urban development challenges in Asia and the Pacific, and policy recommendations for sustainable urbanization. Cities in the region are facing multiple interlinked crises: infrastructure gaps, biodiversity loss, pollution, and climate change, which make the achievement of a sustainable urban development urgent and essential. Addressing the interlinked crisis requires strengthening collaborative, multi-stakeholder partnership and regional dialogue and collaboration. In this regard, the Commission is requested to take note of outcomes of the 8th Asia-Pacific Urban Forum held in October 2023 in the Republic of Korea, to provide a direction on strengthening the Secretariat's work on technical cooperation, regional urban forums and partnerships, and to share suggestions for regional cooperation to enhance the capacity of cities to implement Paris Agreement 2030 agenda and other relevant goals. We look forward to receiving further guidance from members and associate members during the 8th Committee of Environmental Development to be held on 16 to 18 October 2024. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Nam. May I now ask the conference room officer to play the video message from the chair of the 19th Governing Council of the Center for Sustainable Agriculture Mechanization, Ms. Malati Parasuraman, Director General of the Agriculture Department of the Ministry of Agriculture and Plantation of Sri Lanka.
Respected distinguished delegates, as the chair of the 19th session of the Governing Council of the Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization, or CSAM, I am honored to brief you on the meeting which was attended by all 9 Governing Council members, namely Bangladesh, Cambodia, China, India, Malaysia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam. Representatives from Bhutan, Nepal, Republic of Korea, and Uzbekistan also attended as observers. The Council reviewed the key results of CSAM's work in 2023 and commended the Center for the excellent progress achieved in the implementation of its programs and activities. It recommended that the Center continue its effective work in promoting testing standards for agricultural machinery, engaging with private sector through the delivery of technology transfer activities, promoting climate smart technologies and integrated straw management for the reduction of air pollution, mainstreaming gender considerations, and enhancing the capacity of member states. Some of the areas recommended for focus in 2024 include collecting data to improve research, decision making and policy development, supporting the development of manufacturing sectors through technology transfer activities, documenting and sharing success stories, verifying suitability of new technologies, including climate smart technologies, and exploring possibilities for the application of mechanization in the livestock sector. The Council endorsed CMAM's work report and financial status report for 2023 and work plan for 2024. On behalf of the Council, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Member States for their contributions to CSAM, in particular the host country China for its generous voluntary financial contribution and office space for the Center. The Council recognized the importance of promoting sustainable agricultural mechanization in order to enhance food security in the region, highlighting the role of the private sector and the use of climate smart technologies. I urge all ESCAP members and associate members to support the important work of CSAM. Thank you.
Thank you. I now open the floor for comments. I ask all speakers to adhere to the time limit of 3 minutes. The first speaker is United States of America, to be followed by China. United States of America, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The United States strongly supports SDG 13 to advance climate solutions. As we look forward to SIDS 4, LLDC 3, and the HLPF, we see important opportunities to follow up on last fall's SDG Summit and prepare for the Summit of the Future in September. Achieving the SDG goals is the responsibility of every country. With support from the international community, we encourage new and stronger partnerships with governments at all levels, the private sector, civil society, and local actors to leverage our respective capacities. ESCAP has an important role to play in facilitating these efforts, using its convening power to leverage the technical expertise and experience of the region and enhance the work of the wider multilateral system. At the 28th UN Climate Change Conference in Dubai, we achieved historic outcomes, including a call for all parties to transition away from fossil fuels in energy systems to achieve net zero by 2050. Also at COP28, we finalized the first global stocktake, a consensus document that reflects 2 years of work by all parties and over 700,000 pages of views submitted from every constituency across every part of the globe. The GST highlights that we must keep 1.5 degrees within reach, and we must do everything we can to achieve this goal. In particular, countries must take urgent actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, particularly those countries whose emissions are most consequential to keeping 1.5 degrees within reach. In 2023, President Biden convened the Major Economies Forum on Energy and Climate to galvanize efforts needed during this critical debate to stem the climate crisis. At that summit, President Biden called on his fellow leaders to recommit ourselves to action while we still have time. In the Indo-Pacific region, the United States has budgeted $165 million in assistance for climate adaptation, resilience, and clean energy projects last year. Our regional partnerships on climate stem from our commitment to ASEAN centrality and include extensive collaboration with ESCAP, the Pacific Islands Forum, and other regional bodies. Thank you.
Thank you, United States of America. Now, China, to be followed by the Russian Federation.
谢谢主席女士。过去1年 ESCAP 积极推进气候、海洋、可持续城市等领域政策对话和经验分享。联合国可持续农业机械化中心通过能力建设和项目合作，帮助成员国实现农业可持续、数字化、机械化转型。中方对有关工作表示肯定。中国坚持绿水青山就是金山银山的理念，坚定推进生态优先、绿色发展。过去10年，中国新增造林占全球人工造林的1/4左右，实现土地对话零增长。大熊猫、朱鹮、亚洲象等珍稀物种数量持续增长。中国单位 GDP 二氧化碳排放下降了34.4%，以年均3%的能源消费增速支撑了年均6.5%的经济增长，能耗强度累计下降26.2%。中国推进气候变化、生物多样性保护等领域国际合作，成功举办第3届“一带一路”国际合作高峰论坛绿色发展高级别论坛，推动联合国气候变化迪拜大会取得积极成果，持续推进联合国生物多样性公约第15次缔约方大会成果落实落地。中国大力推动南南合作，帮助全球南方提高环境治理能力，增进民生福祉。人类只有一个地球，我们应践行共商共建共享原则，加强政策沟通，分享绿色发展理念与实践。我们应加强应对气候变化合作，坚持共同但有区别的责任原则。发达国家应切实履行气候融资承诺，为发展中国家提供资金、技术和能力支持。我们应加强绿色基础设施互联互通，鼓励建设环境友好和有气候韧性的基础设施。 我们应扩大绿色发展朋友圈，汇聚政府、企业、民间社会等多利攸关方推动绿色发展的合力。中方愿同各方一道，推动构建人与自然生命共同体，建设繁荣、清洁、美丽的世界。谢谢。
Thank you, China, for your statement. Now, Russian Federation, followed by Indonesia.
Уважаемая госпожа председатель, уважаемые коллеги, в Российской Федерации цифровой трансформации уделяется пристальное внимание, в том числе в сфере охраны окружающей среды на самом высоком уровне. В 2021 году правительством утверждены стратегические направления в области цифровой трансформации отрасли экологии и природопользования, а в 2023 году утверждена одноименная стратегия. Стратегическое направление утверждено до 30 года и поэтапно охватывает охрану окружающей среды, гидрометеорологию, мониторинг и управление лесными и водными ресурсами, недропользование, систему обращения с отходами, управление особо охраняемыми природными территориями, поддержку экологического туризма, мониторинг и сохранение биологического разнообразия, государственный экологический контроль, управление и сохранение охотничьих ресурсов. В сфере обращения с отходами в настоящее время создана и успешно функционирует государственная информационная система учета отходов, включая электронную модель федеральной схемы обращения с твердыми коммунальными отходами. В лесном секторе продолжается создание информационной системы лесного комплекса, которая представляет собой цифровой двойник леса и будет содержать сведения, необходимые для осуществления деятельности в области использования, охраны, защиты, воспроизводства лесов, лесоразведения, переработки древесины и иных лесных ресурсов. Для оптимизации производственных процессов используется информационная система «Лесной кластер». В рамках сервиса «Цифровая земля» функционирует нейросеть, позволяющая в автоматизированном режиме выявлять рубки лесных насаждений. Искусственный интеллект все шире используется в лесном хозяйстве и смежных областях. На базе Салюгменского национального парка тестировались новые технологии по подсчету и охране ирбиса в России. Разработана новая методика мониторинга подсчета снежных барсов, благодаря которой исследователи всех стран в ареале ирбиса могут использовать единый подход сбора данных и унифицировать работу. Более подробно представить наработки планируем в ходе деятельности в рамках программы «ESCAP», реализуемой на базе ESCAP. Всецело поддерживаем ее и намерены и далее вносить свой вклад в ее развитие. Цифровые платформы для разработки и реализации климатических проектов, созданные при поддержке фонда «Русский углерод», помогает инициаторам климатических проектов частного сектора структурировать программы и проекты по снижению выбросов и адаптации, привлекать партнеров и обеспечивать целостность, прозрачность и подотчетность на протяжении всего цикла их реализации. Это лишь ряд примеров. В составе российской делегации имеются эксперты, которые готовы представить более детальную информацию по этим вопросам. Для презентации лучших практик, применяемых в области природоохранных ЦУР, хотела бы коротко передать своему слово одному из наших коллег. Спасибо.
Госпожа председатель, рад приветствовать вас от лица Центра палладиевых технологий Норильского никеля, одного из крупнейших промышленных предприятий Российской Федерации. Центр осуществляет деятельность по разработке инновационных продуктов на базе палладия, используемых для развития альтернативной энергетики, а также зеленой химии. Как вы знаете, ключевой вызов для внедрения зеленых технологий в регионе сегодня – это высокая стоимость их внедрения и незрелость решений. И в этом смысле новые материалы на базе цветных и драгоценных металлов являются важным фактором для ускорения внедрения зеленых технологий в регионе. В водородной энергетике, например, катализаторы на базе палладия демонстрируют прирост эффективности на каждом этапе производственной цепочки, на этапе электролиза, транспортировки и непосредственно в топливном элементе. В солнечной энергетике соединение на базе палладия может быть использовано в качестве высокоэффективного фотоэлемента. Другой пример – катализатор на базе палладия для производства биоразлагаемой упаковки и экологически чистым способом, что способствует решению проблем загрязнения окружающей среды региона токсичным пластиком. Сегодня для обеззараживания воды используется хлор, токсичное вещество, производство, транспортировка.
Russia, you have exceeded the time limit. Please wrap up your statement. Thank you.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Мы убеждены, что для достижения прогресса в реализации повестки 2030 необходимо устойчивое международное сотрудничество, особенно по вопросам экологии, климата и развития цифровых технологий. Высоко ценим вклад ESCAP в решение задач устойчивого развития и готовы к совместной работе с делегациями. Благодарим за внимание.
Thank you, the Russian Federation, for your statement.
Okay.
Now, Indonesia, to be followed by Islamic Republic of Iran.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished Excellencies, honorable colleagues, for a number of years, the Indonesian government has spearheaded a number of initiatives and playing an active role in raising awareness on environmental and climate change issues. Since 2017, every year, Indonesia have been organizing the Archipelagic and Island States Forum. In 2018, the Manado Declaration was adopted, focusing on innovative solutions to achieve the SDGs, with the following emphasis: climate adaptation and mitigation, blue economy and tourism, marine plastic debris, good maritime governance. In October last year, Indonesia organized the first high-level forum of the Archipelagic and Island States, participated by 32 countries and 4 international organizations with a leaders' declaration, highlighting the urgent need for more actions in addressing the adverse effects of climate change. During Indonesia's G20 presidency in 2022, the Bali Leaders' Declaration provided recommendations on promoting ocean-based solutions to climate change with the following priorities: strengthening cooperation for the generation of ocean-based solutions, promote nature-based solutions and ecosystem-based approaches, blue carbon storage and blue carbon accounting, and enhance science policy interfaces. Last year, during the 79th session of the Commission, Indonesia, together with the Maldives and Fiji, co-sponsored Resolution 792 to accelerate ocean-based actions to combat climate change. On these important notes, Resolution 792 requested for the UN ESCAP to convene a regional dialogue to discuss further these issues. As part of this process, the Indonesian government will host an ocean policy dialogue in the margin of the 7th Asia-Pacific Day for the Ocean on 23 September 2024 in Bangkok, with the aim to deliver a voluntary regional initiative to be submitted to the 2025 UN Ocean Conference. And next month, on the 18th to the 25th of May 2024, Indonesia will be hosting the 10th World Water Forum in Bali. More than 100 countries comprising of heads of states, governments, international regional organizations, and development partners, experts, as well as the private sector will be present to address some of the pressing global issues of our time. Finally, we hope to work closely with ESCAP in strengthening environmental cooperation and ocean-based climate action. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Indonesia, for your statement. Now, Islamic Republic of Iran, followed by Japan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Madam Chair. Increasingly frequent and severe sand and dust storms are one of the most pressing environmental issues for my country and the whole of West Asia, and affect the daily life of hundreds of millions of people. Many have lost their jobs and forced them to leave their homeland. Migration and looking for new decent jobs and establishing new life in new societies not only creates a lot of costs for the government, but also comes along with social challenges. Fortunately, there is a valuable regional plan of action on combating sand and dust storms in Asia and the Pacific. Hopefully, a clear and concrete set of actions to address this problem already agreed by ratifying the regional plan of action on combating sand and dust storms in Asia and the Pacific. Therefore, full implementation of regional plan of action alleviate the severe consequences of sand and dust storm on the region. Moreover, implementation of sustainable developments in being undetermined by a broadly exercised unilateralism threatening to reverse the progress made in recent decades. That is despite paragraph 30 of 2030 agenda, in which states are strongly urged to refrain from promulgating and applying any unilateral economic, financial, or trade measures not in accordance with international law and the United Nations Charter. All states should observe the rights to development and appropriate life of others in their own national development plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, Japan to be followed by Fiji.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Japan takes an inclusive, multi-stakeholder approach in promoting the twin objectives of driving growth via decarbonization and solving regional challenges, and contributes to such efforts worldwide as one of the large contributors to multilateral funds such as the GEF and GCF. In Japan, the national and local governments work together to develop decarbonization roadmaps to promote decarbonization in various parts of the country across rural areas and various cities as part of a growth strategy. Internationally, Japan is working hard towards helping to scale up best practices and scaling up best practices and sharing them, linked to regional decarbonization through city-to-city collaborations between 51 cities, regions in the Asia-Pacific region, and involving local governments of our country. Among the initiatives include the joint crediting mechanism, the introduction of renewable energy and energy-saving equipment, and contributing towards orchestrating political commitment towards zero-carbon cities. Furthermore, Japan emphasizes measures to combat plastic pollution. At the 2019 G20 Osaka Summit, the country proposed the Osaka Blue Ocean Vision, aiming to eliminate new pollution from marine plastic waste by 2050. Japan has actively led initiatives to combat plastic pollution. And at the 2023 G7 Hiroshima Summit, Japan joined a call to end plastic pollution and ambitious goals such as achieving zero additional pollution from plastics by 2040, building upon the Osaka Blue Ocean Vision proposed at the 2019 G20 Summit under our presidency. Japan is actively involved in negotiations for an internationally legally binding instrument on plastic pollution with a goal to reach an agreement by the end of this year, and hopes that this treaty can become an effective and progressive framework that includes major consumers and emitters of plastic based on an inclusive process. To highlight our commitment in resolving the triple planetary crisis besetting upon us, Japan also submitted a resolution adopted by consensus at UNEA 6, calling for the promotion of synergies among international environmental treaties and processes, creating a common understanding of the need to enhance synergies among respective countries' policies based on scientific evidence, identifying concrete actions to achieve various objectives addressing climate change, biodiversity, and environmental pollution. We hope that these collaborations can be synergized across the region and look forward to increasing our engagement with member states and ESCAP going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Fiji, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us the floor. Pacific cities across our sub-region are confronted with many challenges due to rising temperatures and extreme weather events such as tropical cyclones, which with heightened risk of sea level rise, particularly for our coastal cities. Most of our cities are built on coast, and they're confronted with these threats every year in, year out, as tropical cyclones brood in from the northern Pacific coming down to the South Pacific. So we really would like to say our sincere appreciations to the ESCAP for their hard work in this space as they continue to organize ourselves together to be able to prepare ourselves and build resilience in our Pacific cities. Sang-Min and your team, thank you so much for the hard work that you're doing in this space. Last year, the Fiji hosted the 6th Pacific Urban Forum, hosted by the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat in Suva, Fiji. And it was coordinated by the Pacific Urban Partnership, a consortium of technical experts, service providers, and UN entities with the support of several additional urban-focused development partners alongside representatives of the Republic of Fiji's Ministry of Local Government and our City Council SUBA. The point, Madam Chair, is that whilst we are organizing ourselves in order to meet the demands of our Sustainable Development Goals, we are also mindful of the need that we need leadership in this space, and we look upon the leveraging power and leadership of ESCAP to continue to usher in new modalities, new areas, new support that will strengthen our resolve to address the challenges that are faced by our cities. Lastly, Madam Chair, we would like, Fiji would like to support, the recommendations. Way forward recommendations have been proposed in the paper, as prescribed in the paper, ESCAP/80/9, to support the work of the Secretariat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiji, for your statement. Would any other delegation like to take the floor under this agenda item? I see none. We shall now take up agenda item 4D pertaining to disaster risk reduction. May I invite the Director of the Information and Communications Technology and Disaster Risk Reduction Division, Ms. Tiziana Bonpace, to briefly introduce the documents pertaining to this agenda item. Ms. Bonpace, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair, and a very good morning to all the distinguished representatives here today. It is my pleasure to introduce the documents pertinent CDR 8/6 on the report of the Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction on its 8th session, and then ESCAP/80/10 on the report of the Governing Council of UPDIM on its 8th session, and then ESCAP/80/11 on scaling up the use of early warnings for preventative actions through the implementation of a regional agenda, and finally ESCAP/80/1, which pertains to the reports of the Typhoon Committee and the panel on tropical cyclones. It's my honor to introduce document ESCAP/80/11 and give a brief synopsis of the contents of that document. The document provides an overview of the Secretariat activities implemented at the national, sub-regional, and regional levels, with the objective of leveraging the regional strategy to scale implementation of early warnings for all by 2027. And in this regard, the document also underlines the need to make space-derived data more available, accessible, affordable, and actionable by applying digital innovations that integrate satellite and geospatial information and data. It provides examples of how the Secretariat and regional cooperation partners are implementing capacity-building field projects and online courses to enhance the contribution of integrated Big Earth data to the early warning information value chain. The Commission is invited to provide further guidance on the implementation pathways identified towards operationalizing early warning for all at country, sub-regional, and regional levels, and the need to scale up investments in the early warning value chain. Of particular note, as we approach the 20th anniversary of the Indian Ocean tsunami later this year, is how the Trust Fund for Tsunami Disaster and Climate Preparedness can contribute to the achievement of early warnings for all under the fund's strategic framework proposed for 2025 to 2030. And Madam Chair, if I could just take half a minute more, just to, under the documents on the panel on tropical cyclones and the Typhoon Committee, if I could just thank the representative of Fiji for raising the issue of Pacific inclusiveness on this important issue of tropical cyclones. And here I'd like to just provide information that under the WMO Tropical Cyclones Program, since 1985, there is a Tropical Cyclones Committee for the South Pacific and the Southeast Indian Ocean in place. And all Pacific SIDS, Australia, New Zealand, UK, USA, are members of the WMO Tropical Cyclones Committee. And the regional specialized Met Center, called the Tropical Cyclones Center, and which is based in Nadi in Fiji, coordinates all its operational and regional cooperation activities. So it's part of what is known as WMO Regional Association 5. But with the support of our members and associate members, the ESCAP Secretariat will continue to promote linkages between the work of ESCAP WMO Typhoon Committee and the WMO ESCAP Panel on Tropical Cyclones. And we will promote the linkages with the work of the WMO's Tropical Cyclone Committee, and we look forward to working in close collaboration with all our members and associate members on taking forward these linkages. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bonaparte. May I now ask the conference room officer to play the video message from the chair of the 8th session of the Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction, Her Excellency Ms. Marilao G. Arni, Under-Secretary for Strategic Communications, Department of Environment and Natural Resources of the Philippines.
Distinguished delegates, it is my pleasure to bring to your attention today the key recommendations and decisions made by the Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction at its 8th session, held from July 25 to 27, 2023. These are vital for the region to consider and act upon promptly. Firstly, the committee recommends the further development of a regional strategy to achieve early warnings for all by 2027. This entails strengthening multi-hazard early warning systems across Asia and the Pacific in collaboration with members and associate members and relevant partners. Secondly, transformative adaptation was emphasized as a cornerstone for safeguarding lives, livelihoods, and critical systems such as food and energy. This approach requires a balanced disaster and climate risk management strategy, including scaling up technology innovations to tackle transboundary hazards. Furthermore, the committee urged support for the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030 at the regional level. It stressed the critical role of the health sector in addressing disaster challenges and called for strengthened cooperation mechanisms to unlock financing, including through the private sector, for resilience building efforts. Turning to the decisions adopted, the committee endorsed the Secretariat's proposals to further develop a regional strategy encompassing disaster risk knowledge, observations, dissemination, and preparedness. welcoming the key findings of the Asia-Pacific Disaster Report 2023 and the data-driven analysis available in the Risk and Resilience portal, the committee underscored the importance of the recommendations on transformative adaptation and requested the Secretariat to deepen its analytical research, knowledge sharing, and capacity development, taking into account the findings of the report. The committee requested that the Secretariat build national capacities, including through the Asia-Pacific Disaster Resilience Network, by leveraging innovations, including digital and geospatial applications, and by sharing information, expertise, resources, and good practices for developing regional multi-hazard early warning system. Lastly, the committee encouraged financial and in-kind contributions to the ESCAP Multi-Donor Trust Fund for Tsunami, Disaster, and Climate Preparedness. These recommendations and decisions underscore the urgency of collaborative action. Let us commit to swift and concerted implementation for a safer, more resilient future. Before I close, please allow me to extend an invitation to the 2024 Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction to be hosted by the Philippine government on October 14 to 17 this year. We look forward to welcoming you all to Manila as we strengthen our regional cooperation to accelerate progress on DRR in Asia and the Pacific. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I now invite the Chair of the 8th Governing Council of the Asian and Pacific Center for the Development of Disaster Information Management, His Excellency Colonel General Rustam Nazarzoda, Chairman of the Committee for Emergency Situations and Civil Defense Republic of Tajikistan, to report on the outcomes of that meeting. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Уважаемая госпожа председатель, дамы и господа, я рад представить вашему вниманию итоги 8-го заседания Управляющего совета АБДИМ, которое состоялось в городе Душанбе, Республике Таджикистан 8 декабря 2023 года. Совет управляющих принял к сведению доклад о деятельности Центра после 7-й сессии и выразил признательность за прогресс, достигнутый в осуществлении программы работы Центра. Он отметил, что из-за нехватки финансовых ресурсов удалось осуществить лишь некоторые мероприятия, включенные в программу работы Центра на 2023 год, и одобрил программу работы Центра на 2024 год. Совет управляющих отметил меры, принятые для реализации региональной программы действий по борьбе с песчаными и пыльными бурями в Азиатско-Тихоокеанском регионе. Совет управляющих принял к сведению доклад об административном и финансовом состоянии Центра. Совет управляющих выразил свою признательность правительству Исламской Республики Иран за финансовые и добровольные взносы, сделанные на сегодняшний день для создания и функционирования Центра. Центр также выразил признательность за намерение Исламской Республики Иран относительно дополнительного финансового вклада в Центр в размере $2 миллионов Соединенных Штатов Америки, который будет выделен в первой половине 2024 года. Совет управляющих выразил свою благодарность и признательность правительствам Камбоджи, Макао, Китайской Народной Республики за их финансовый вклад в деятельность Центра. Совет управляющих принял к сведению рекомендации совещания региональной экспертной группы по управлению информацией о стихийных бедствиях, состоявшегося в городе Душанбе 7 декабря 2023 года, и подчеркнул важную роль управления информацией, включение вопросов снижения риска бедствий и адаптации к изменению климата в национальные планы развития, управление данными о рисках и разработке политики а также в использовании новых технологий. Совет управляющих призвал членов и ассоциированных членов экономической и социальной комиссии для Азии и Тихого океана мобилизовать финансовую поддержку Центра и играть активную роль в реализации программы работы Центра. Благодарю вас за внимание.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now open the floor for comments. I ask all speakers to adhere to the time limit for 3 minutes. The first speaker is China, followed by Indonesia. China, floor is for you, please.
谢谢主席。过去1年 ，ESCAP 秘书处积极推进区域减灾合作，成功举办第8届减灾委员会会议，为会员国提供减灾备灾政策支持和交流平台。中方对此表示肯定。中国政府高度重视减灾备灾工作，坚持以人民为中心，不断强化预警能力，坚决遏制重特大事故，最大限度降低灾害事故损失。近年来，卫星遥感、自然灾害预警、无人机自动巡检、生命探测仪等各类科技设备和前沿技术被广泛运用，为城市防灾减灾建立了安全网，为人民生命财产筑牢了防护墙。去年，中国政府增发1万亿元国债，支持灾后恢复重建，提升防灾、减灾、救灾能力。中方积极参与国际和区域的减灾合作，持续支持空间技术应用，促进可持续发展区域计划、区域旱灾监测和预警等区域合作机制。2023年，应联合国亚太经社会等请求，中国 GEO 全球灾害数据应急响应机制为包括土耳其地震、新西兰飓风、孟加拉国飓风、阿富汗地震和尼泊尔地震在内等共11次重大自然灾害提供卫星数据和灾害专题图，及时提供数据和灾损信息援助。中国通过中国 ESCAP 合作基金持续支持 ESCAP 开展减灾领域项目，帮助提升发展中国家灾害应对能力。中国澳门特区政府也向 APDIM 持续提供资金、技术和运营支持。去年，“一带一路”自然灾害防治与应急管理国际合作机制理事会正式成立，欢迎各方积极参加该机制和全球发展倡议、气候变化相关领域的项目。女士们、先生们，亚太地区是最容易受灾害侵扰的地区，区域各方要充分用好 ESCAP 平台和相关的区域行动方案，加强灾害监测、预报、预警、信息共享，加强防灾、减灾、救灾、安全生产、应急救援领域的务实合作，共同提升应急管理能力，共同促进区域灾害治理发展，维护2030年可持续发展议程的积极成果。谢谢。
Thank you, China. Now, Indonesia, followed by India.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Esteemed chairs, honorable colleagues, disasters have significant impacts on various sectors and society, particularly affecting disadvantaged and vulnerable groups. Indonesia, along with many countries in Asia and the Pacific, face considerable vulnerability to natural disaster. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of robust protection system supported by quality and current data to minimize socio-economic impact to affected communities. In line with this, The Indonesian government initiated systemic reform, especially in the social and health sector. As an example, social protection system reform focused on developing an adaptive social protection system to make it more flexible and responsive to various socioeconomic shocks. Key component of the reform include first, data transformation through the establishment of comprehensive socioeconomic registration data, followed by its integration and interoperability with disaster risk-related data. And the second, development of adaptive social protection scheme by integrating social protection with disaster risk management and climate change adaptation. And the last, reform of financing scheme to ensure sustainability and effectiveness, among others. Honorable chairs and colleagues, Indonesia also actively participates as the regional support office of United Nations Platform for Space-Based Information for Disaster Management and Emergency Response, UN SPIDER. And we also as data analysis nodes of Sentinel Asia. In effort to minimize the impact of natural disaster, we are currently developing multi-hazard early warning system to enhance end-to-end information transformation. Additionally, with collaborating with ESCAP, we integrate virtual satellite constellation with more involvement of the youth and leveraging digital technologies application. We want to maximize the huge amount of satellite data in easy and fast way for preparedness before the disaster happens. And for the last statement, recognizing the significant risk of disaster in Asia-Pacific region, Indonesia believes it is essential to enhance regional collaboration for disaster risk reduction and build collective resilience. This includes exchanging experience and exchanging the existing digital technology capabilities, operationalizing them for DRR purposes. ESCAP holds a crucial role for developing concrete programs that can strengthen DRR capacity across the Asia-Pacific region. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Indonesia. Now, India to be followed by Japan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. India has consistently demonstrated its strong commitment to strengthen international cooperation in disaster risk reduction at global, regional, and sub-regional levels. During India's G20 presidency last year, a significant milestone was achieved by starting a new work stream on disaster risk reduction. The 5 priorities identified by the G20 Working Group on DRR, early warning for all, resilient infrastructure, improved financing, systems and capacities for response and building back better, and ecosystem-based approaches will provide added impetus to achievement of Sendai framework targets globally. India launched the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure at the UN Climate Summit in 2019 as a multi-stakeholder partnership to promote resilience of new and existing infrastructure systems. Domestically, landmark changes have been brought in our financing architecture to support the entire spectrum of disaster risk management, including disaster risk mitigation, preparedness, response, recovery, and reconstruction. India appreciates the efforts of ESCAP and other international partners to reduce disaster risk and to build safer, more resilient world through knowledge sharing and promoting cooperation on disaster risk reduction. Since its inception in 2005, in the aftermath of the catastrophic 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean region, the ESCAP Multi-Donor Trust Fund for Tsunami Disaster and Climate Preparedness has emerged as an important mechanism to enhance access to multi-hazard early warning systems in the region. India has made significant co-financing and technical contribution as well as in-kind support to the trust fund. India remains committed to reduce vulnerabilities and impact of disasters through national efforts as well as regional and international cooperation in a synergistic manner. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, India, for your statement. Now, Japan to be followed by United States of America.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. As a country subject to many forms of disasters, Japan has been playing an active role in assistance in the field of disaster risk reduction and prevention, and has been leading the dissemination of early warning systems, especially since 2004, immediately after the Indian Ocean tsunami. We are hopeful that such deployment efforts will continue to accelerate across the region. Many countries are indeed realistically exposed to the risk of disasters caused by climate change, such as tsunamis and floods, making disasters a practical, ongoing challenge for this region. In January 1 of this year, Japan itself experienced another major 7.6 magnitude earthquake in the Noto Peninsula. We continue to build up experience and know-how of tackling disaster risk and creatively exploring disaster prevention solutions. Armed with such knowledge, we are open to continue sharing such experiences with various countries in the region. As prioritized in the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030, it is important not only to establish early warning systems, but also to engage in risk reduction efforts in order to address the increasing frequency and severity of natural disasters worldwide. Japan will continue to help promote not only pre-disaster investment based on our understanding of risks and appropriate disaster prevention strategies, but also support for better recovery that goes beyond mere restoration by leveraging our technologies and lessons learned in the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Japan. Now, United States of America, followed by Bangladesh.
Thank you very much. As part of the United States' commitment to reducing the impacts of climate-induced disasters and achieving real, tangible progress, President Biden launched the Emergency Plan for Adaptation and Resilience, known as PREPARE. PREPARE aims to assist 500 million people in climate-vulnerable developing countries in adapting to and managing the impacts of the climate crisis through 3 core pillars. First, the U.S. government continues to partner with countries to strengthen end-to-end climate information systems, including climate and health early warning systems. This will equip communities with the information they need to take effective action before a climate-related disaster occurs. Second, we are supporting locally led and equitable adaptation by enhancing capacity to integrate resilience into policies, programs, and budgets, especially in food, water, health, and infrastructure systems. Third, we are working to unlock finance, including private capital, to support climate adaptation actions at national, subnational, and local levels, particularly in countries and communities experiencing specific vulnerabilities to the impacts of climate change. We can save lives, alleviate suffering, and reduce the economic and social impact of disasters by partnering broadly with civil society, NGOs, educational, scientific, and technical institutions, local and regional governments, the private sector, and other diverse stakeholders. We call on all members and stakeholders to prioritize engaging local communities and vulnerable groups in the development of new solutions that are responsive to the needs of those most affected. We must involve all stakeholders, including women, girls, youth, persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples, and members of other underrepresented groups in disaster risk governance to ensure that we leave no one behind. Together, we must continue to build on our commitment to advance disaster risk reduction and increase resilience for all. Thank you.
Thank you, United States of America. Now Bangladesh, to be followed by Thailand.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Honorable Chair and respected dignitaries. It's my honor to address you today on the crucial topic of disaster risk management and resilience, particularly in the context of Bangladesh's Sustainable Development Goal. As we strive to achieve the SDGs, it's imperative to address challenges such as poverty, food insecurity, urbanization, and climate change, all of which are intricately linked with disaster risk. Bangladesh, despite its significant economic losses due to disasters, has made remarkable socio-economic progress in recent years. Achieving lower middle-income country status is a statement to our continued economic growth and human development efforts. Internationally recognized as a role model for disaster management, Bangladesh has implemented a well-functional regulatory framework and mobilized communities and institutions for disaster preparedness, response, and rebuilding. Our commitment to disaster resilience is evident in initiatives such as the 100-year Bangladesh Delta Plan 2100, which prioritizes flood control, water bank erosion prevention, and increased water holding capacity. The formulation of the National Disaster Management Plan 2021 to 2025 aligns with the SDGs, focusing on disaster risk reduction, adaptation, and post-disaster rehabilitation. The legacy of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who pioneered massive afforestation and construction of cyclone shelters, inspires our continued efforts in disaster risk management and climate adaptation. We are enhancing our capacity to risk-informed planning and investment, following his pragmatic initiatives. Bangladesh Cyclone Preparedness Program, CPP, with its extensive volunteer network and well-designed process, has minimized casualties during recent cyclones. Integration of this Sendai framework targets into the National Plan for Disaster Management ensures comprehensive approach to disaster risk reduction and adaptation. Disaster shelters are inclusive, addressing the needs of women and persons with disabilities. Regional and international cooperation are essential for managing transboundary disaster risks. As we continued our journey towards sustainable development, disaster risk management and resilience must remain at the forefront of our agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your attention.
Thank you, Bangladesh. Now, Thailand, to be followed by Islamic Republic of Iran. Thailand, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Thailand is dedicated to implement resilient disaster management strategy in accordance with our National Disaster Risk Management Plan 2021 to 2027, which is aligned with the sufficiency economy philosophy, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Sendai Framework of Disaster Risk Reduction, and the Paris Agreement of UNFCCC. Our aim is to achieve the vision of the Thai society capable of reducing existing risks and preventing new ones efficiently, ensuring the country's security and sustainability. Thailand actively participated in the 8th session of the Committee on Disaster Risk Reduction as a subsidiary body of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific in July 2023, addressing significant issues including targeting transformative adaptation, building resilience to compounding and cascading risk, and highlighting the midterm review of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. Additionally, we contribute to discussion on the regional plan and action to achieve early warning for all by 2027 in Asia and the Pacific, as well as the status of the regional cooperation efforts. Our contribution emphasizes our commitment to regional cooperation efforts. Ministry of Interior by Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation has launched initiatives that leverage digital innovation to advance resilient disaster management. This initiative encompasses the establishment of the centralized communication network and the emergency hotline named Nilapai 1784. Additionally, Thai has implemented the Traffic Phone application, which facilitate seamless coordination between citizens and authorities at all levels. Thailand has emphasized on the development and apply the use of the space technology and geospatial to including the development of disaster monitoring system and early warning system that everyone can access by DPM Alert platform. Furthermore, Thailand has implemented of digital innovation such as the Thai Disaster Alert or TDA by mobile application. It will be timely notify disaster notification alert by mobile phone. Recognizing the importance of enhancing end-to-end early warning system, it is significant to adopt the self-broadcasting service. This technology holds immense potential to deliver timely and effective alert to the population, regardless of their network, subscription, or roaming status. Additionally, as the co-chair of the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management Working Group on Prevention and Mitigation, Thailand actively supports regional cooperation efforts. We will organize events in this year, 2024, including first, One ASEAN One Response Roadshow on Crisis Communication Training in June. The second, AHA Center Information Management Network Training course related to the geospatial for disaster risk reduction in July. And third, the commemoration of 20th anniversary of India Ocean Tsunami in December in Phang Province.
Distinguished delegate of Thailand, you have exceeded the time limit. Please wrap up your statement. Thank you.
So, in conclusion, Thailand remains dedicated to our best effort on disaster risk reduction and promoting resilient community through integrated approach with the relevant agency, including engagement with the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Thailand. Now, Islamic Republic of Iran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Disasters have multilateral aspects and therefore need an integrated and comprehensive approach by different parts of the Secretariat and its regional institutions in close cooperation with related bodies, either UN or other regional and national institutions. APTIM, as the main body in ESCAP, is a pioneer entity in disaster management in our region, and the Islamic Republic of Iran strongly continues its support to APTIM in implementing its programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Republic of Iran, for your statement. Would any other delegation like to take the floor under this agenda item? Fiji,
Sorry,
you have the floor, please.
Sorry, Madam Chair. We really appreciate the good work that the Secretariat is doing, Titiana and the staff, in terms of advancing this important work. And we would like to support the recommendations going forward in the paper, because we know, as you know, disaster management issues is the risks that we do face year in, year out, in Fiji and the Pacific. For Fiji, recently, Cabinet has just approved the National Disaster Risk Management Bill, which is the outcome of a comprehensive review of the Natural Disaster Management Act 1998, spanning over 2 decades. The bill is expected to be tabled in Parliament soon, and amongst the key challenges being brought in by the bill is the expansion of the mandate for the disaster legislation to not only cover natural hazards, but also other potential hazards that may cause disasters, with the exception of civil unrest and terrorism. These include biological, environment, geological or geophysical, hydrometeorological, and technological hazards. We thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Fiji, for your statement. We have now reached the end of the allotted time for this meeting. Therefore, we shall continue with the consideration of agenda item 4A this afternoon. May I now call on the Secretary of the Commission to make an announcement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would now like to turn to the evaluation of the session. The Secretary wishes to remind each participant to please take a few minutes to complete the online survey that was uploaded to the Commission webpage under the Overview tab. And you will also see a signage at the entrance of this conference room providing the link to the survey and the QR code. The same information has been provided to your delegation through the liaison officer. We kindly ask each delegation to please complete the questionnaire, as your feedback will help us improve the quality of our services and the support that we provide to delegations. We thank you in advance for your valuable feedback. Now on side events, a reminder that during the break we will also still have a number of very interesting side events hosted by our member states and partner organizations. And you can see the list here on the screen. The majority of these side events are open to all participants of the commissions and also are held in a hybrid format, so participants can also join online. We look forward to your participation in these events. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. We will now break and convene this afternoon at 14 hours sharp to continue discussion under Agenda Sub-Item 4E. The meeting is adjourned.